Hey, 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 knitters and crocheters and crafters and creative types all around the world. I am Vicki Howell. This is Ask Me Monday. Welcome, welcome. And today we are going to be focusing on a couple of things. One, how to turn plastic grocery bags into yarn, or what we in the industry call Plarn. And also we're going to talk about making mats specifically for the homeless out of this yarn. First, though, I of course want you to tell me where you're watching from and what you made over the weekend, what you stitched on, what you painted on, what you cooked on, whatever. For those, this is originally shot live on Facebook at 12 p.m. Central on Monday. So if you're watching it later or later on YouTube, please just look for the description where I will tell you at what point the actual tutorial starts. So I'm Vicki, like I said, I'm in Austin, and over the weekend I worked on a slipper sock for the forthcoming The Knit Show book. I think that's all I worked on. Yes, I'm pretty sure. And then I'm just working on other details for a couple of other projects that I'm working on, which has been really, really fun. So hey to Kathleen, hi Christine, Alexis, Valerie, Debbie. And also, please, if you are making something that is shareable as far as a pattern goes, or project instructions, or even just inspiration boards, please post them in the comment section here. This comment section is your community, so talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so Plarn, let's talk about it. The first time I heard about turning bags into yarn was in 2005-ish, maybe. When one of my favorite designers, she's from London, or actually outside of London, but whatever, Erica Knight came on to a show I used to host called Nitty Gritty. It was on the DIY Network. And she came and she had like an array of colors of bags that I've never really been able to parallel. And she had created yarn out of these bags, which I'd never seen done before. And then she created this really cool gardening mat. And that's the first time I'd ever seen that done, at least here in the States. And then, years later, I co-wrote a book with my friend Adrienne Armstrong, and I duplicated the process to make this bag, this lunch tote. It's crocheted. And, and then since then, I've done a couple of other things with it, but also since then, Austin, where I live, has since banned plastic bags. So they're really hard to get a hold of. So I kind of have just abandoned ship on projects like that because most of them were kind of novelty anyway. And I was really just making stuff to recycle because it's a great reuse, right? But then recently, maybe last year or so, my childhood friend, Amy Gugline, she told me that her mom had been with her church group making these big mats for to donate to the homeless to sleep on, just keep another layer to help keep them people dry, or maybe a little bit warmer. And I just thought that was such a great use of both the resource and time. And so I've also had questions from several viewers about how to make this happen. So I thought this might be a little refresher course for some of you. I would go over today how you actually turn bags into yarn. And then I'm going to talk to you about yardage. I'm going to talk to you about some tips on working with it. And then if you go over to my website, vickihowell.com, and I will post that in the show notes, I have written out basic recipes for both knit and crochet mats with dimensions and everything so that you can get your knitting or crocheting on. All right. So, and for those of you that watch Nitty Gritty, I see some posts scrolling by. Don't forget to check out The Knit Show on YouTube. I think it's just as good, if not better, only just because it's more aimed at the digital world where we are now, which was not a thing back then. Okay, I'm going to flip over actually, I don't know if I need to flip over this time. I'm so used to doing that, but you know what? I may not have to. Let's see. Okay, so first what you need is regular grocery bags. These will come in kind of different sizes and shapes. This particular one happens to be about 11 inches wide. I am going to flip it over. I think it's just easier for you to see. So talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to do a little flip action. All right. So take your bag and you want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. and get it, you know, relatively in line, but don't obsess over it. And then you want to fold it in half. And then in half again, but don't worry about the strap up top because we're about to cut that off. Okay, and then you want to trim off the end, the bottom of the bag. And the top. Ditch the handles. I feel like mine has fallen apart a little bit here. Okay. So then we're going to take our folded bit and we're going to start cutting it into strips about a 1/2 inch or centimeter wide. It does not have to be perfect. They do not have to be uniform. They just need to be strips. And you'll just continue doing that for the entire bag. Okay, and then what you'll get are these little loops. Now, back in my tutorial for awareness, I believe when Erica came down, but I could be wrong, we actually had you cut a spiral so that they'd be double or single stranded. But since then, I think the sort of common consensus is that double stranded is better, and especially for a mat that somebody's going to be lying on, you want that extra bit of substance. So keep it as a loop. You'll take 2 loops, and then essentially you're going to just tie them together as if you were tying a piece of fringe on a scarf. For macrameers out there, it's called the lark's head knot. So you're just going to slip 1 loop through the next loop and tie them together. And you'll just continue that for all of your loops. I'll show you again. Slide 1 loop through the other, fold it over, feed the longer portion through, and pull. Pull gently though, because it will snap if you don't. If it does snap, you can just tie it and knot it and retie it though. It doesn't matter. This will have knots. And then you'll continue doing that, and then you'll just roll it in a ball as if you would other yarn. This is a huge one. I wanted to show you, let's see, what did I do with it? I wanted to show you about how much 1 bag worth of yarn is. I may not have it here, but you don't get very much out of 1 piece, unfortunately. So what I'm going to show you, what I did do though, is as for demonstration, this is a chain with probably 2/3 of a row of half double crochet, which is what for my recipe I suggest that you do, because it's a short enough stitch that you're not going to have holes to let in a bunch of cold, and the extra yarn over that is involved in a half double crochet, which is the US stitch, will give you a little bit more of fabric for a thicker mat. But this amount was 1 bag. So not even a full row after creating the chain, which means that you need for crochet. So I did a little bit of math. I measured the guideline for size. I suggest that you make the mats about 72 inches, so about 6 feet. Obviously, some people are taller, shorter, but that's a good just general range. And I've put on my website the amount. I believe that I say chain, a 24-inch chain. I'm using a 12mm hook. And then you will half double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook and then all the way across, and then you'll just half double crochet for the rest of it. So I did a little bit of math, and you need about 58 bags to crochet a mat. So it's a commitment, but if you are in a place that still predominantly uses plastic bags, you probably could, collect those bags within just a few grocery trips, if you're being honest, or ask your neighbors for them. Now, if you're not a crocheter, you can knit this, and I've put up basic recipe for that. I have to say that I recommend crochet over knitting, and I'll show you why. Here's a great example. So this is 2 rows, and this is 1. And you can see not only do you get a lot more mileage out of the yardage, but it's thicker as well when you crochet, which means it's going to be a little bit more comfortable, give a little bit more of a barrier between, the sidewalk or the street or wherever it's being used and then the person who's using it. So if you want to knit it, however, I've gone down quite a bit on size of tulle. I've gone down to an 8mm US 11, so there won't be holes. And I suggest either doing garter stitch, which is knitting every row. That's really the smushiest of stitches that doesn't require bobbles and more yardage. Or welting, which is knitting every row except for every, fifth row or so, purling to create sort of a horizontal rib looking. So this, I put the amount of stitches and the gauge on the post as well. Again, that's on VickiHowell.com, and I'll put it in the show notes. This will take significantly more bags because, as you know, garter stitch is a very short stitch. It's squishy, but it's very short, so it takes a lot of yarn, or Plarn in this case, to get to where we want to be. So it takes at least double the amount of bags, maybe triple, depending on if you're staying engaged. So just throwing it out there, it's an option. Again, my recommendation is crochet. If you don't know how to crochet or half double crochet, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is just, my name. And I do have a half double crochet video there. All right, I'm going to flip around again. So that's really it. It's the basics. It's really easy to do. It does take a little bit of time, but this could be a project that you could do with your family. I mean, if you get your kids into asking all of their friends for bags, they can absolutely cut these strips with you and knot them with you. It can be a whole family project, and you can really talk about the purpose behind this project, why you would want to make these and go through the time and the effort and how they would benefit other people. You can see here's a piece of the crocheted fabric so you can get sort of a better idea of what it looks like when it's all worked. Obviously, this is not mat size, worked up. And you can get bags at a lot of places. You can actually go. I've gone to the grocery store and asked them if I could have some of their extras. Of course, that was before they were banned here, but you can absolutely ask. So if you've got any questions, please post them in the comment section, and I will come back and absolutely answer them. If you know of anybody who would be interested in doing, making these for the homeless or learning how to make Plarn, please share this video, tell a friend, tag them in the comment section. That really helps people to be able to find me. Use this project for church groups, for Girl Scouts, for, stitch and wine nights, for your knit hive meetings, anything. It's a really fun way to recycle. Earth Day's coming up in just a month, and also, just make a feel-good project. So as always, thank you so much for spending your Monday morning if you're in the US, and evening if you're in the UK, or it might be already Tuesday if you're in Australia. Thank you for starting with me. Until next time, please take some time to get creative. Mwah. Bye.